Man, I just went out in the evening and I came back and it feels like. Oh, okay. Okay, so basically, I finished my hotel management and I joined Park Sheraton in the front office, in the reception. Um, that was the plan. That was my career plan to be in hotels. But I always did night duty in the front office. And at that time, Gatsby 2000 was located at was part of Park Sheraton. So I used to do the night shift, and I used to see these really cool people walking across. And I was telling my colleague, I was like, dude, where are these cool people hanging out? It's like, oh, Gatsby 2000. It's like, how do I get a job there? It's like, no, you can't. I was like, okay, that's interesting. So basically, I always wanted to be in the event scene. So even as my final project in hotel management, I did the project of how to start up a nightclub, profit and loss, everything. So basically, but not from a DJing point, more from an operation point. That was my idea. I always wanted to be there and then grow into the event manager of the hotel. So my plan was when I had the opportunity. So at that time, George was the resident DJ of Gatsby 2000. He used to hang in the back office, and he was like, man, I'm working too hard. I need an assistant. So I jumped at the opportunity, thinking that if I get my foot in the door, because this friend of mine was like, dude, you can't get in. So if I get my foot in the door, I would work my way into operations. But when I joined DJing, it kind of just changed everything, and then I just stuck to it. So George at that time was the resident DJ, head DJ of Gatsby 2000. He was working, I think, crazy, like 7 days a week. I don't know if that time Gatsby was closed a day or it was operating all 7 days. So he was coming in every day, and it was the first nightclub of Chennai, right? So he was coming in every day, and so he used to come to the back office, sit down, and have a midnight stack with us. And he would always like, dude, I'm overworked, I need somebody to take on some responsibilities and help me get a day off. So I jumped into the opportunity of the sole purpose of getting into Gatsby 2000 and working my way to the events. DJing was honestly, it was not something that I thought I would do. But the opportunity came to be a DJ. I said I will get in and then work my way back. But I just stuck. I mean, for me, I walked into the DJ booth the first time. I still remember it looked like a spaceship, because I don't know if you've seen the Gatsby 2000, if you ever got around to see the old Gatsby 2000 DJ booth. It was this small black booth, or not small, it was pretty big, black booth, but and the whole club would be dark. And when you open the door, you'd see all these lights you'd see all these lights in the booth. It looked like a spaceship, dude. So I was like amazed. When I moved to Gatsby 2000, I was training under George. So he's the one who actually taught me everything. I initially was, so it's very funny, like how now the DJing schools, you start off and you straight away get hands-on experience on the decks. For the first 3 months, I was only vacuuming and cleaning the amplifier and the decks. So I didn't even get to touch the decks till 3 months. So yeah, so he's the one who taught me how to DJ, and then from there it was the Denon 2500, I believe, and the mixer was the Rain, but not the rotary. It's the sliders and the two Technics 1200s. And the cool thing with Gatsby was they gave us the music. We didn't have to, as DJs, you didn't have to carry your own music, so you had to play from their sort of database. So I have to study every single CD, and every single CD had a slot, so you couldn't change, because then we won't know when you are playing which CD is where, right? So at one point, after a while, I kind of knew, so my hand would just go to that CD, and I play. Because otherwise, imagine at that time, if you know your folder, it's easy, right? But if you don't know the folder, you're thinking, okay, maybe I can play, I don't know, some track that comes to mind, and then you're like, I don't know where the CD is, right? So I had to literally study each what do you say, kind of the CD's rack, and where each CD is, and everything had a place, and if we moved it, it would just get like crazy. So yeah, so my DJing started in Gatsby 2000 under George. He's the one who taught me everything. It was a membership club, so the age, the people who could actually afford the membership over there were much senior people. I mean, the more older people. So musically, it was it was everything. It was mixed bag. We would play at that time pop, retro, a lot of retro because a lot of older people. So that's why I can still play like a retro set. Hands down. I can't do anything in between. I can either do the techno or I can do the retro. I can't do anything in between. So basically, I left Gatsby and moved to HFO. And HFO, we had three DJs. And so we decided that each one will take on a particular style. So we don't kind of cross tracks or, make it too repetitive in the sense because you can't keep a track of what the other guy is playing or whatever. So we each decided that we'll do. So one guy decided to do the R&B, pop, and hip hop, and retro, which is Rudy, and Sid would do the more houseier sound. And at that time, I was playing a lot more trance, so I would do trance, the '90s. Ferry Costin and I don't know, Judge Jules or whatever, at that time was happening. So it was a lot of trance. It was a lot of British influenced trance because that's the only. Keep in mind, we would not have what do you say computers. So it was only Napster, and it was only what you would see in compilations like. Clubbing guide to Ibiza, clubbing guide to Ministry of Sound, or whatever, and then you would get Crasher, and then you would pick up and say, "Oh, this is cool," and you would try it in Napster, and in all probability you will get the track from the mix itself, and we would actually play that. So it was fun. But yeah, that's where I got into trying a particular genre. But if you're asking me when I moved to techno, it would it would be my first trip to Ibiza in 2000. That kind of changed my life. And I saw Sven. That's what happened. And I went to the first Cocoon party. I think it was season 2 of Cocoon. I remember walking into Amnesia. I think we would have been the only 4 Indians that walked into Amnesia at that time. I didn't see anybody else, not even the British Indians. Like we were just proper 4 dark brownish guys walking in. And we walked in at 11:30 because we thought we'll get rejected being Indian, and so we get there at 11:30. Doors open at 11. We were there at 11:30. We walked in and there was 140 BPM playing at 11:30. 11:30. And at that time, I didn't know what techno was, and I got some small samples of music, and it was like, what is this? It's like techno. Yeah, okay, it's cool, but I was still swaying towards the Ferry Costin and things like that. But I walked in there, and the music was amazing, and I was like, dude, what am I playing if this is what these guys are playing? It's like I literally came back and I gave away my CDs. I said, no, I'm going to start fresh. This is bullshit. I'm not even, this is not even, to me at that time, this was not even music. It was something I was just doing to survive. Uh, these guys were at least 10, 15 years ahead of what the hell was going on in India. So that's when I kind of got into the whole techno, and I started reading more about it, knowing my artists and things like that. So yeah, I would say, so it's Cocoon for me is still very close, even though they've changed what they are today than what they were before. But to me, it's close because it changed my entire life. So wow, man, Speed was like home for me. It was like I don't know. It was some place where I thought. So after I left HFO, I didn't think there would be another. Dare I say another HFO? But I think Speed kind of filled that void a bit, where it was all about you could do whatever you want. Nobody had a problem with the curation. Like the management didn't have to answer why they're booking so and so. So it was really cool. The vibe was great. It was more intimate. It was so for me. I think Speed came in the right time to fill that void after HFO, and for the lot of new people, maybe Speed would have been the HFO. Like how for a lot of other people, HFO was. HFO and EC41 was a change. Everybody was like, "Wow, these guys are doing something cool." But I think for the next set of people, Speed would have been that. I think it was that rather. Not at that time. I would think techno actually came in because, like I said, while I was getting out of HFO is when I got into techno myself. So by the time I left HFO and moved to Dubai, I was already only playing techno. Like it was like I was already playing. I think 140 BPM at that time. And so for me to have an outlet, it was speed, because in India, I mean, I don't know about the rest of India, but in Chennai, for me, the outlet was only speed. So I think, yeah, they did bring and showcase that sound a lot more, and give exposure for a lot of people. But going back to what you said, I on my nights is the more I used to have arguments with Zaire, where I tell him, no, I don't want anybody to warm up for me, because at that time, I just like what you said, I didn't want anybody to play anything else. And then there was no story. For me, it has to be a story, because if you're walking in, and I don't want it to be like it has to be a story. And I don't know what the story is. At that point, I'll have to think about what the story is. But it has to be a story. Only then you're going to enjoy the music. It's very easy for somebody to come and play 20 tracks and leave. But where is the soul? Where is the passion? Where is the story? Where is everything? So for me, that was important. And speed gave me the opportunity of, yeah, okay, do what you want. And then I would come in I still remember I would go in there at like 7 p.m. and I would start playing my records, and everybody would be like, no, you can play later. And it's like, no, I actually like playing. I get used to the sound, and I can set my pace, so it kind of just helps me. So yes, they did a lot. They gave the platform, they gave the exposure. Yeah. And so Zaire, I don't know how many people know that Zaire and me actually started working in HFO together. So he used to manage the door, and while I was, so that's my first meet with him. And if you have followed Zaire's uh, trends and style, you know what a difference it's made, what is difference he is from what it was and things. So Zaire for me is that guy who makes the party for me. He's always that fun guy, smiling, full of energy. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad he got. For a long time, we were wondering whether he would stick in nightlife, because it was more like he was doing that as a part time to make extra money while he goes to college, HFO. But yeah, it's awesome. It's great that he took it on, and I think he's an awesome. What do you say? Kind of awesome at what he does. Zaire is for me. Zaire is we kind of bonded off, like straight off from the job. It was Rudy, me, and Zaire basically from HFO, right? So we just straight off, we just kicked it off. I mean, he loved. He used to tell the best places to eat around HFO. Um, he was just a ball of energy. So it was like awesome. Like we had a really really good time. I think for me, my best time of my life was HFO. HFO was, and for me, the people who were with me in HFO, I still, I have a lot of MC Manoj, who used to own the club. I still am in touch with him, and I have so much of respect and regard for him, and what we had done at that time. And so for me, that family was something else. So for me, Zaire, again, he's like a like a brother. Everybody is like, Rudy, Zaire, all like brothers. We were like we were going everywhere, coming to work. I- Imagine, these are the three. These are the guys you're seeing pretty much 6 nights of the week. You're living, and at that time, Zaire and Rudy was also. They used to, they used to go back home because it was late, and I know Rudy was staying far away, and so we would go back home and come back to work, and again go back home and come back to work. So it was like family, man. And so for me, Zaire is like I don't know, it's just always there. It's like on pillar, always there. So yeah, I think he opened a lot of doors, because after HFO, like I said, HFO, we were just kind of touching the surface, if anything, because thankfully at that time, the guys who ran HFO gave us a free hand, and they were like, you guys do your thing. You guys are the DJs. You're supposed to be creative, so do your thing. As long as we are you don't lose the crowd. So we internally we decided that there would be a certain time for each music. And it was always the case that I would take on at the end, because my sound was more I thinking back again, I don't think it was that crazy. What I'm playing now, I don't think it was much, but at that time, it felt like it was the crazier sound. You know what I mean? And so that only touched the surface. It was not even going anywhere. So I think Zahir what he had done with Speed kind of just opened a lot more doors, because he took a lot from. We as a group, we learned a lot from HFO, how the people ran it, how a boss was treating his employees. It was awesome. I never ever thought I was going to work. As always, it was friends. Even MC was a friend. He was never like a boss to us. He would sit down and he would talk and he would give his opinion and he would say, "What do you think?" It was awesome. So Zahid took away from that, and what he did with Speed was something else, because he opened a lot of doors. Because till that time, till HFO, there was no bookings regionally. We were the first guys to do bookings regionally. We thought that it was good to have people from Bombay come in, have people from Bangalore come in. It's a whole other thing that we didn't take it back. That's it was a thing, but we thought that that was the way forward. And I'm glad Zayed took that on and he took it to another level, because he's now started booking genre based. He had one guy to do house, he had one guy to do drum and bass, or he had one guy to do techno, and he kind of opened the doors of a lot of in a lot of ways for different electronic music sounds. So I think yeah, with Speed and his what he took away from HFO, I think he has played a I would think he played a pretty good role in giving the platform, and maybe in a way putting us, maybe until that time, till HFO and Speed happened. We always have this chat about how the DJs from the north didn't quite think that the DJs from the south were capable, or I don't know what the word is. So maybe that kind of opened the doors, and everybody from everywhere kind of started realizing that Chennai was, oh, okay, there's a party scene in Chennai. Maybe till then that was nobody knew, because each city was doing their own thing. And I think Speed took it up and started booking DJs from everywhere. Those guys going and talking and saying, hey, yeah, Chennai is cool, and it kind of, there was a lot to it. So it was not only music, it was exposure, it was people saying, oh, Chennai, there is a party scene, Chennai was open late and whatever. So I think it was what he did with Speed was um is epic. To be very honest, I think as of now, Chennai is lacking venues. I seriously think Chennai is lacking venues. I mean, I'm sure promoters and all are have great ideas and have great concepts, but when they go back to the board and they see that they have to work only with 3 venues, it kind of puts them in a box, and there's only that much you can do creatively. So as of now, I think the party scene, and I say this only because the lack of choice of venues, and I think it's a little stagnant, and I wish there were a lot more venues, new venues coming out, so people can be creative and bring out. Chennai's got a great crowd, great what do you say, knowledge of music. When it comes to knowledge of music, it's a great crowd, and as you can see with festivals. So why, if they're coming to the festivals, why am I not coming to a regular night? Because I don't know, maybe it's like, okay, how many times will you go to the same place? I get it sometimes, I really get it. And as a promoter, how much more you have to put in the effort to make that place, which everybody's been there 1,000 times, cooler, right? It's crazy. So for me, I think uh, I think Chennai needs a lot more new venues to make it to make it to take it to the next step. There's great crowd, there's great promoters, there's great ideas, there's a creativity. I mean, if you see the festivals, the setups, the sound, the lights, it's amazing. I mean, but I think they put in a box, literally put in a box, and said, "Oh, you can only work with these 4 walls," and it just gets too monotonous, I would think, from that point of view. So I think we need more venue. For me, to be very honest, like how HFO was something that started off the electronic music scene. I think Gomiras was the first guys to start off that whole festival vibe in Chennai with electronic music. Until that time, nobody had done it, and it was super cool that they it felt like they were giving back something to the city. You know what I mean? Oh, this is our city. We loved it. We're passionate about electronic music, and here you go. We're doing a festival. Uh, uh, Kind of celebrating our city. It felt like that. So for me, it was really really cool to be a part of it, because I always like to give. For me, Chennai is, as much as we have our problems politically and whatever. It's still home, man. I mean, it's for me to give back something to home, to my home. It's awesome. For me, Gomiras was the guys who started that off. Yes, there's a lot now happening, but I think they're the ones who kind of started everything off and said, "Hey, this is Chennai, or this is Madras or whatever." Yeah. Shiv, I it's amazing. The first time I met Shiv was at a so those days in Chennai was a lot of private parties and beach houses, and I still remember I was playing for this one private party, and Shiv also was on the lineup, and that's the first time I'm meeting. So I was doing the more Euro trance sound, and he would come in and do the Psy sound. So when I was playing, I still remember this conversation with Shiv. He was like, "Man, you've got a solid technique. Why don't you do? Why don't you start playing Psy? And I can tell you what to play, and why don't you play?" I was like, "Bro, I mean, I have no thing for each one. Music is subjective, right? So each one has a preference. Each one has a thing. For me, Psy was not something I would feel as a DJ. So I said, dude, it's very easy for me to say, okay, I'll DJ it, but would I DJ that with a passion? No. So what my insight on Shiv is, man, he's a super cool guy because he says what he there's no, like he will just say it. Yeah, there's no filter. He'd say it, and I love that about him. And he's just straightforward. There's still conversation. He'd come to me and say, "Adam, I know. I'm just giving you my opinion, and blah blah blah." And say, "Ah, man, but I'm a friend." And I was like, "Dude, it's super cool." There's very few people like that who just straight up say what they say. For me it helps, maybe for other people, I don't know, but for me Shiv is one of those guys who just straight up tell you as is, and that's super cool. I really like that. uh, and sometimes you stop and think, oh, he's got a point there, so yeah. I didn't know till the third edition that Gomiras was run by Shiv. I didn't play till the third edition. So till that time, I only heard about Gomdras, and I knew this was this cool festival that started off, and I was like, man, this sounds so cool. But in my mind, I was thinking, why am I not getting booked for this? But I didn't know who was running it. So to be really honest, I didn't even know till much later. I would only know who actually ran Go Madras. For me, Go Madras was the festival that what I in my mind I wanted to be a part of, but I didn't know who was linked. So for me, when I found out that Shiv and Tuin and Hema were behind it, uh, later on, I was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense because Shiv was always that he felt like the guy who was like, okay, I need to do something. Yeah, I want to do something. I want to do something different. I want to do this. So yeah, I mean, it was, and my thoughts on Gomiras anyway. I already explained. So it kind of made sense. Chennai is all up for a party, all up. I mean, like I've had some of the best nights in Chennai. And okay, maybe I am from Chennai, so I know the people more, but it's okay. There's new people coming in every time, so it's not like I know a lot of new people, but I still have a good time at some parties, at a lot of parties. When you guys book me, we have a blast. Uh, Flip Media books. We have a blast, but yeah, I just think that the it's just the venues. I think we're just having a problem with the venues. For me, man, Flip Mag, it goes a long way. I still know how you guys started off as being I still remember Gautam having a chat with me about making it a print magazine. And we spoke so much about it because at that time in Dubai there was Infusion, and then we started chatting about this and how from print, and we said, oh man, it yes, Chennai needs something like this, or rather India needs something like this, because at that time it was not. And then you all moved online, and then you all moved to events. So for me, man, it's a great journey you guys had, and it's amazing that you guys moved into events. It's For me, it's you guys are a bunch of cool guys who know what you're doing, and creatively The one that's coming to mind right now was the Cuba one for the anniversary. I mean, I love the production. I love the intimate. So it was super because there was a production and then it was intimate and people right there where literally somebody stretches their hand and they can literally press the stop button on the CD player. And this is amazing. And I really love the vibe and things. But in general, man, it's been amazing. I mean, even the blend party recently, even the where did I play before? So there was Blend, there was Cuba, uh, Aqua. Oh yeah, the Aqua party was Aqua party was something. Man, yeah, actually, I can't actually say this was the party I liked. I really enjoyed everything, and to be honest, man, I keep telling everybody this. There's in India, you have to choose the promoters you play for, not the venues you play for, but the promoters you play for. And I like to operate that way because that way the promoter knows me, I know them. It's a lot easier. So Flipmag has been a pleasure to work with. It's been awesome because I know you guys. You know your crowd. You know what you're doing. It's amazing. Yeah. So I literally, it's like flip mag. Yeah, let's do it. I don't even ask. I don't even ask. I don't think I've ever asked, dude. Where are we doing this? Like at the most I would have said, oh, which date, bro? And then that's it. I know what I know we can't go wrong. It's always, there are a few promoters I always tell the agency as like, dude, don't even it's Flip Mag. Let's do it. I don't care. Let's just do it. So yeah. My link with Gautam from Flip Mag again. If I remember right, I think Gautam was at that time living in two places, Dubai and Chennai. So I think he came a lot more to Dubai where we would hang. I'm trying to think where was the first time I met Gautam. Richie Houghton, Bangalore. Uh, we finished. We finished. Catwalk was the first time. Okay, so catwalk. Yeah, maybe I was too thrashed. Yeah, yeah. Richie Horton, Bangalore. It was the first time I think I think maybe I'd met him a few times before, but Richie Horton was the moment I remember because I still remember we were all going to this after party and we finished the event and I think everybody was trying to figure out where the after party would be, and I remember. I remember. I think the conversation was something like, we all got into this van, and then Zahir would be like, "Hey, has anybody seen Gautam?" And Gautam was sitting right behind, saying, "I'm here, da." Okay, come on, let's go. So it was, yeah, and that's the time I think that's the time I got to know that even Gautam was called G, because until that time I was like very like, oh, Gautam, and then that's when I still remember Zahid saying G. I think he said G, and then I was like, who's G? And from my mind, that was the time I made the connection. So for me, that started everything, and then from there it kind of, there's a lot. I mean, we met different points for Flip Mag. We met at different points. He played for Warped. He played then Flip Mag grew. I think our friendship grew, and yeah, it's just been super cool, right? So Dubai is all about the big names. But okay, so techno being main, again, I use the word mainstream for lack of choice of words, because now techno, there's again, it's a you have your mainstream techno and then you have the underground techno. So techno became a little more mainstream about a few years ago in Dubai. Till then it was all hip hop and EDM and things like that. Now a lot of big clubs are doing techno, but they still are booking the big names. So you would have only a Carl Cox. If they say techno, it's Carl Cox, or it's Sven, or it's a thing. But they're still catering to the table. Uh, People who are, booking tables. Now, what happens in that case is, I find that not many people are there for the music itself. It's about the brand and it's about who's promoting the party. And in all probability, a lot of people don't know who the hell is playing. But there's 5,000, 6,000 people, which is great. It's great that techno has now become mass. Now it's a question of who gets the right techno and who doesn't get the right techno, which is great. So that's Dubai. It's all about the big names. It's all about Everybody wants Elro. Everybody wants Awakenings. Everybody wants things that sell. Big brands. In Europe, again, man. I mean, from what it was before to what it was when I went. Even in this summer, there's a lot of change. I feel there's a lot more mainstream techno now that's being pushed, but they do it in a more, in a much. There, the brand also takes importance. So, for example, the Brunch in the Park, which is it's a really big brand in Barcelona. They sell without even a lineup. They'll sell 3,000 tickets. It's sold because of the brand. So people already know that it's Brunch in the Park and it's going to be crazy. And I think a lot more of that needs to come in everywhere else, because now everybody's relying too much on the DJs to sell their event. You're going to run out of DJs at some point, right? How many Carl Cox can you book? How many Swens can you book? At one point, everybody's like, dude, I've seen this guy so many times. So my thing is, if you make the brand big enough and people will follow the brand, it really doesn't matter who you're playing out. Then it adds that much more weight when you have a Carl Cox. It's like, oh wow, that's Carl Cox. So you're getting the extra people. So I think that's where the major difference between what is happening in Europe and what's happening everywhere else is that they have brands. Like I would book a ticket to Time Warp. I don't care who's on Time Warp. I will book it. If I'm going to Mannheim, I will book it. It's Time Warp. I know they can't go wrong. Likewise for Awakenings. Likewise for I don't know, any other brand. That I think is missing a lot in Dubai or in India, because everybody's trying to sell more on the DJs. It's great to have a brand that people can go to. So it's coming up. I'm not saying no. There's the Magnetic Fields. Everybody is going. It doesn't matter. Is there any other festival? Maybe Echoes of Earth. I think it's slowly getting there. So there are, but I wanted to, like, I would like it to be a lot more, like, where people are making plans. Like, for example, Sona. Half the people who go to Sona don't know who's playing in Sona, but they're going. There's 20,000 people, 30,000 people going. It's crazy. I mean, I think that needs to be a lot more over here, where people are trusting the brand more than I want to see the DJ. It's okay. I mean, Blue Marlin So and all are operating more on the fact of just PR and hype. It's a lot of people who are they're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're doing a super job, and at some point, marketing plays a big part in everything. It just depends on how you're marketing the things. There have been times Blue Marlin has not done so well because the DJ is not well known. So I don't know. Yes, there's a few people who go to Blue Marlin nevertheless, but whether they're going to Blue Marlin or whether they're going because they know the owner and owner is giving them, some king treatment, that I don't know. But there has been, because if you're following the brand, it doesn't matter who's playing, right? It should be. Then why is Blue Marlin only booking Black Coffee, and why is Blue Marlin only booking Solomon? Why is they can book? I don't know. Etap Kyle. Would people go to Blue Marlin? I don't think so. Because nobody knows who ETAP is. So things like that. I mean, I still don't think Dubai is yet. Yes, everybody wants to go to a Blue Marlin, but provided there's also a big DJ playing. So like recently, Black Coffee was playing, and it must have been packed because it's Black Coffee. But if somebody else is playing the next week, we don't know whether people will still have the same. There are some names who still pull, but at some point I'm thinking they're going to run out of the pull. I don't know. I'm thinking, right? Because at some point now techno is the cool thing, but everything has a circle, and at some point techno is not going to be so cool anymore. It's going to become underground. So then what do these brands do? They're going to change their sound, right? Because they're following the trend. They're not following the sound. It's not like, oh, I'm passionate about techno, so I'm doing techno. No, they're selling tables. They don't care what techno is. They just care whether people are going to come and spend that 20,000 dirhams on the table. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think yet it's happening. I think it's all about the bookings for them yet. But that's my personal take. Yeah. I went to Dubai thinking that, as with any person going abroad, from India, it's like, oh, I'm going abroad. It's only going to get better. So I initially, when I was going to move from India to Dubai, it was like I was moving abroad. From India, it's the thing, right? It's like I'm in India, I'm going abroad. It only gets better, right? But when I went there, I kind of realized that the only scene that was happening there was a lot of clubs were having a majority of the commercial scene. In fact, there was a lot of bands happening. So the DJs were taking the back, uh, uh, sort of backstage, in the sense that bands would be their main selling point for any club. In terms of electronic music, Dubai was doing funky house at the time, and progressive house. I remember very well. So techno wasn't even a thing. But when I was going to Dubai, in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, I'm going. We're already playing techno in India, so man, obviously, it's Dubai. We're going abroad, and it has to be techno. But no, I mean, at that time there was no techno scene. I went in the idea of looking for a job as a resident DJ, uh, or anything. First, the plan was to do specific nights, but then it turned out to be like I'd be a resident DJ. But then I kind of decided that I don't want to do residencies anymore. It was not. I'd already. It's like I'm done with that. So the only way forward was to start my own night, to feature my own sound. So I started in 2004. Warped. Actually, we started off in a really small club called Copas in Dubai in 4 Point Sheraton. I actually spoke to the manager. I was trying a lot of different places where I just wanted to have a platform to feature my sound. Nobody would give me an opportunity, because there was a lot of again, I'm not trying to be whiny about the whole fact of racism, but in a way there was a lot of that being featured, where there were certain clubs and there would only be white skin DJs, and there were certain clubs where hip hop and R&B would be, and it was known that yes, you would only have like an African American DJ, or it's or DJs who are, in their mind there was a perception every sound had a certain style or image of a DJ, and he, being Indian and brown skin, it was not featuring anywhere. You would only be sent, okay, that's what that's what, in their minds, that's what you were supposed to do. So going to clubs and giving out a demo CD and like, hey man, give it a listen, it wasn't working out, and not many people were even heard of techno at that time. Okay, yes, at that time I was playing 140 BPM, but that techno was 140 BPM at that time. It has evolved. What it is today, it's different. There's variation, but at that time it was so nobody. So I decided to start my own night. I started a Wednesday night in a club in Dubai. I spoke to the manager. In fact, the manager is the guy who gave me the opportunity is in Bangalore. I've lost touch with him completely. His name is Carlton, and so I went to Carlton and I was like, please, Carlton, I need to play. What do I need to do to play? He was like, Adam, we got talking, and he was a good friend, and I mean, I wouldn't say a good friend. He's a nice guy. So he was like, dude, I have Wednesday, take it up. I do X amount on business, and if you do anything more than that, it's yours, right? So we started off on a Wednesday, and for me, in my mind, I was like, I don't care about what we are making, and I wanted to DJ. I had not DJed. I think I moved in 2002 until 2004. I didn't DJ. Like, it was getting so frustrating, like I had my two decks at home. That was my first investment. Was I took whatever money I had and I bought two turntables. I still have them. It was my first investment and it is my prized possession. So I used to play at home, but as publicly, I didn't get an opportunity. So when I had the opportunity, I was like, dude, whatever you want me to pay you, I will pay you, but I want to play, whatever. So he gave me the opportunity. In fact, he's the first one. He asked me, hey, you're doing the Wednesday night. What do you want to call it? I don't know. What do you want to call it? Call it Wednesday night at Copas. I don't care, like, so no. We need a name. So he sat me down and he was like, tell me something about your music. And he was like, yeah, at that time I was playing only records. So I was like, yeah, it's heavy bass lines, it's twisted, synths and, stabs. There's hardly any vocals. And so in that conversation, because when you're playing records, sometimes your record is warped, where it's if you think, so when you put the needle, you see the record going. So I was like, yeah, sometimes my record is warped. And he was like, hey, that's a cool name. Literally, that's how Warp started off. At that time, he's like, no, you should call it Warp. I was like, dude, call it anything you want. I want to play. I didn't have a plan at that time that Warp would be something that I would carry on for 14 years and it would stick. And I didn't have a plan. So that's exactly how it happened. Of course, after Copas happened, I did a couple more gigs at IBO. I did a couple more gigs at Planetarium and things like that. But that would be my first platform that I kind of had to create for myself. Sort of, it wasn't a plan that it wasn't a plan that I want to book DJs or something. It was something that I had to play myself. I had to create something. So basically it was something that I created for my sound. And at that time, techno, not that time, it's techno still my passion, my lifestyle, my everything. So at that time it was like I needed a platform. So that's how it came about. So I was doing Warped, and alongside that time, I had met a couple of. I used to go a lot to IBO to party, so I got to know these guys who were running it. Really super cool guys, Palestinian guys, very cool guys, super party. I mean, at that time, I think till today, I think in Dubai, those were the best parties. I don't think you can ever get that back. And the guy who was running it also, a guy called I forget his name. So we kind of hit it off, and then I was talking to him, and I was like, man, check out my music and things like that. And he kind of really, he was one of the few guys who he was not a electronic music person at all. He was a musician, but he would play live music. So he does this whole live thing. But he would be the guy who came to me and he said, "Listen, man, it's cool what you're doing, and let's do a night." Again, I was already in WAP, but he would give me a Wednesday night in IBO where I created another brand called Decibel. So Warp kind of took over from that, and it was something that I would always do. But Decibel is a few events I did at IBO, and maybe that's how you are linking it to me. But I didn't ever do Warped at IBO. IBO was always Decibel. I created that brand. It was the first. I say the first brand I created in the sense that I had a plan, because Warped had started for me and I didn't have a plan. Warped was completely no plan. I didn't have a logo. I didn't have a creative. I didn't have a thing. At that time there was no Facebook. But Decibel would be that first project that I actually paid money to somebody to create a logo for me, and I knew that it was important that on a flyer we have a cool logo and things like that. So that would be Decibel. But Decibel, I think 10 or 12 events. But then IBO after that had a lot of issues and they had to shut shop. And so we would stop. But Warp continued, and I kept moving Warp in different places. The longest would be Copas. I ran, it became a really popular for Wednesday night. So the manager came to me and said, "Hey, let's do Friday." And that's how I moved to a Friday, and then we would alternate with the Psytrance night. So in a month, it would be techno Psytrance. So we kind of created that. Oh, if you want underground electronic music, you would go to Copas on a Friday, which had its advantages and its disadvantages for obvious reasons. So yeah, so yeah, I used to at one point live in 4 Point Sheridan. It was for a lot of us, we would start in Viceroy. My first resident DJ job would be Viceroy in 4 Point Sheridan. I started playing Wednesday nights at Viceroy's, where I would play chill out and house music as a pre-party, and then people would head out to their party. I pitched that idea to the food and beverage manager, and I don't know, he kind of liked it. So that would be my first residency, and then I moved to Copas for Warped. So for me, 4 Point Sheraton at one time I would live, but if you ask me if I'll go back again today, I don't think so. So they're not the same. At that time, the Chennai nightlife scene was taking a beating because until that time, there was a time, I don't know if you remember, there was a time we would run till 7-8 in the morning. Nobody cared about Chennai nightlife. But there was a time, I would say, when that whole Jessica Lal incident happened in Delhi, which kind of took a toll in north, but it kind of affected south. And it was the first time that people kind of started getting up and saying, "Oh, nightlife is not safe zone, and so Chennai was having a problem. That was the first time I've ever known Chennai having a situation when it came to nightlife. Till that time, nobody cared. Nobody cared. I think I can safely say now we've actually run HFO where we told people we've sent public out, locked the doors, and run till 10 o'clock in the morning. We've done that, and nobody cared. Nobody cared. But yeah, that changed everything, and then we were not in we, the nightlife was not that long, so which means everybody was started shutting at 11 o'clock, which means DJs were not required. It was like by the time you do background music, everybody had to go home, so that kind of. And at that time Shireen got a job in Dubai, and I said, yeah, maybe mm, if that didn't happen, I don't think I would have ever left Chennai, because you kind of live in that bubble, so yeah, that's why I moved to Dubai. Now it's a lot more easier. You can approach different venues and do events, but are there a lot of Indians promoting underground music? I'm trying to think. No, because yeah, there's a few of them doing a few parties, but nothing. To answer your question, whether it is difficult, I don't think it's difficult anymore. It's just a question of now everybody's just worried about what numbers you're going to bring in, how many people you're going to do. Yeah, it's just the money, it's just the racket, it's just everything. It's got nothing to do with thing. But yes, there are some places in Dubai who are particular about which promoter they give it to in terms of the color of the skin. You know what I mean? It's like being an Indian promoter, whether it's a DJ or not. Some venues are openly not up. Oh, he's an Indian promoter or a DJ. He will bring in Indians. I'm not up for that. They don't say that. Again, it's they don't say that, but when you're sitting and chatting with them, you get that vibe off them. So yeah, it's a very gray area. Nobody says anything. But it's known. So there are some venues, but over years, I've been there from 2002, so now I know who to approach and who not to approach. So yes, there's a lot of Indian promoters trying to do parties, but some of them end up doing it in the wrong venue. It doesn't last. Some of them don't get the opportunity because they are trying to hit up the wrong venue. So yeah, I would think that that still exists in Dubai a lot. The baggage you carry, they've already perceived. They already think they know the baggage you're going to carry into the club. I don't know. For me, that's why after 2014, I actually stopped WAP for a bit. But yeah, my dream for WAP was to be based out of Dubai, but to take it as a brand that I want to do parties everywhere else. The only reason I have never, what do you say, kind of taken it too much ahead is because if I want to do a WAP party, I want to bring something different. And if I can't bring something different, then I don't want to do the party. What's the difference? It's like Adam's playing, it's warped, but where is the difference? It shouldn't be that Adam's playing, it's warped. Oh, no, it's warped, or it's Adam playing. It cannot be two same things. So if I want to do a warp party anywhere, I want the production, I want to do something different, I want to bring something different. If I can't do that, but to answer your question, I I, I don't think anything is better or bad or worse. I just like to think that whoever gives me the opportunity and can support me in my ideas, I will do it. For now, yeah, Dubai kind of works because Dubai is a little more open with the whole, eh, you know, uh, there are a few promoters who are open to giving me a little extra hand in doing what I want, like the creative. They don't care. Thing or what I do inside the club, they wouldn't care. No, so going back to what I was saying before, I really really want to bring the whole brand idea with Warped, where it really doesn't matter who's playing, because I want to get out of that zone. Today in Dubai, a lot of promoters are facing. I know promoters who are booking big name Indian DJs who are not doing so well in Dubai. Why? Why? Because the Indian DJs are big in India. Nobody in Dubai knows them. Even though we have huge Indian population, it doesn't mean that they are going to come out just because that DJ is playing. Yeah, again, what I'm trying to say is we have to create a brand. Brand. After that, whatever you do, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do doesn't matter. People have to trust that and go. So I want to create Warp, a brand. So even if you see my event page and all that, I don't write about the DJs. I don't write about the DJs at all. My plan is to always have the new DJs, and so people can experience it. It's easy for me to keep booking the same DJs that people know, but how am I different? There are so many other guys who have not been heard, who I dig, and I want them there. But how the Dubai people know them, know these guys. So I want them to come for Warp, and then along the way, if they come to Warp and then they will they have that DJ there, they will, hey, cool, who's this DJ? That's what I wanted to be, rather than them coming. So I want Warp to be like that. That's why you'll see the information on Warp, the banners and the creative. It's a lot less, a lot minimal, but I want them. I want the kind of creative to be a little more that people hopefully people talk about. I don't know whether people are talking about it or not. I'm quite excited about every. There's a story with every creative, but for us, if people ask me about the story, I will tell them. But I don't bother going and telling. But for me, there's a story with everything. Even the new creative, we sat down, we spoke about it, and we wanted to go a certain direction, and there is a story. I do that with all my artwork now. My mama said, yes, I am. Okay, have to keep remembering that. Yeah. Yeah, because they're not going to be taking. Yeah, that thing. Thank you. Thank you for having me.